All right, call the Bike and Ped Committee meetings to order. Cal, could you take roll call, please?
Tracy Fluke.
Here.
Kyle Jago.
Here.
Jessica Atkinson. Dale Schmidt.
Here.
And Sue Krieger.
Here.
And welcome, Sue. For those of you that don't know, Sue was just appointed at Village Board last meeting. So welcome. We appreciate you getting on the committee.
Thanks.
We'll start with pledge allegiance, everybody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, action on the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to move or change on the agenda? And I believe it's Devin's first. I can't remember. Okay, good.
I move to accept the agenda.
Okay, motion by Dale,
I'll second it.
second by Kyle and Jessica, but either one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Action on the minutes from the January 13th bicycle pedestrian committee meeting. Any changes on that, on the minutes?
I didn't see anything. I'm going to motion to accept.
Motion by Dale.
No.
I'm very excited. We'll second it. Okay, we're gonna say this a second by Sue. She overrode your All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, guys. Item 6, items for discussion and possible action. 6A is to consider, discuss the 2025 comprehensive bicycle and pedestrian plan update. And Devin is here, Yoder from Brown County Planning, and he is going to be taking the lead on this for us. So he's going to kind of walk us through the process and our involvement and kind of start up. So thank you for coming today.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. I'm here through Brown County Planning Commission, and then just a little bit more of the why part. The Brown County Planning Commission also houses the Green Bay MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So we can do work for communities that are in the urbanized area in Brown County. So that's largely why I'm here doing it. But then we're able to provide that service to the village at no cost to the village. So it's a win for you all. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I'm here. Yeah, I'll be taking the lead on it. I'll be doing primarily all the work on it. You know, I may get some assistance in the office with maybe some GIS stuff, but I'll mostly be doing it. And I've done a few of these plans now for different communities in Brown County. So I think this is my either 5th or 6th one about.
You're a pro now.
Well, yeah, right. There's always something new to learn though. So,
I'm sure.
but yeah, so really what I want to talk about, and I don't know, were any of you all, or who all was involved in the previous update?
Well, I was on the original, but not yet updated.
Okay.
Yeah, not
Okay,
the original.
but I just kind of wanted to know if this is more new for you all. But yeah, so the bike and ped plan, what I would be doing is working on the update for you all. And, you know, the ultimate goal is that then provides the village with a document that you all can use to reference and look at and consider when considering new facilities, new policies, and that sort of thing related to bicycle and pedestrians in the village. So really the goal here is to update it, you know, get current information as far as demographics and that sort of thing. Also to look at your current ordinances and if there are possible things that could be tweaked there. And then with that, we would want to gather public input on just current facilities in the village and also what people hope to see or would like to see more of. And then through gathering all that, the group would, in working with you all, we'd identify goals and objectives in the plan. And in some cases, they may be what's already in there kind of covers things, but we'll take a look at that just to make sure that that's, kind of reflecting current conditions and what people want to see. And then from there, developing possible different options that the village can consider in the future for new facilities and or new policies. And then that, will result in the plan that you all will have to use, and that can then again reference for projects. So that's kind of an overview of that. Does anyone have questions in general on that part? Just the what? Okay, so then I guess what I would talk about just a little bit here, the little schedule thing that I put together. And again, this is kind of a tentative thing, so obviously if we need a little more time here or there, that we're flexible on that. But the general goal as of now would be to meet with you all 4 more times, and probably, so what I've outlined in here where there's, a row with an X, the possible meeting in one of those months. So kind of each row would be a different meeting, and I said review meeting number 1, 2, 3, 4. So with that, the initial part here, like right now, would start to be doing the research and then also putting together a public input survey that we can do online. And that can also include a mapping component too. So I can use GIS and then create an app that essentially people could identify places on a map, either, if there's an issue with something or if there's something that they might want to see. So getting input kind of 2 different ways, both online. And the survey, can be a little more generalized, but then we can also include options for kind of like open comment, and then I would kind of collate all that and kind of put that together. So the goal of kind of the next step would be doing those couple of things and then bringing that back to you all at a future meeting, probably later spring, and kind of reviewing that. Another thing we can do, and I guess this is for you all to consider too, is if we do maybe, or by we, I mean I meet with like some specific, either like, targeted focus groups, to provide input that way. And I guess kind of the thought behind that, for other times when we've done this, just holding like a general meeting or something for people. Often we get more feedback through the online approach, but, still meeting with people who have kind of a specific knowledge about things or could help with kind of focusing the update effort would be good. And so, I don't know, if there's some groups or folks that might be good that you all can think of, that would be something that would be helpful.
When we talk with them, if some of you recall, as part of the comprehensive planning process, we have these kind of public information meetings where you invite the community in as a whole to provide input on the front end of the planning effort. Oftentimes, and it's been like this for a number of years now, but of recent past anyway, you get very few participants at those meetings. You might get 6 people that show up, and guess what? It'll be all 6 of you at this table. So rather than doing that, having one kind of large general kind of gathering where no one will gather, let's go out and pinpoint specific stakeholders that we want direct feedback from, and having very specific interviews with them. As an example, we would meet with, let's say, the school district, talk to very specific members from the school district and figure out what their needs are from a bicycle and pedestrian standpoint, get their feedback. Maybe there's a senior community that we want to touch base with because they have unique transportation needs. Not that we have it here, but if you think about other communities, and this is more just to generate thought, is if like the CP Center was located in Ashwaubenon, what unique needs would they have, and could that be a stakeholder group that you want to talk to? So think about it from that standpoint, and of are there very specific groups that maybe we want to have a conversation with and target very specific questions to that might be relevant to the planning effort?
Do you think like more regional type ones would be ones, like for instance, like the Beach or Bicycle Collective serves Ashwaubenon and the whole northeast Wisconsin. There's the Green Bay Running Group that serves the whole area. There's the Moms Run This Town, which is another group that serves the whole area. And I don't know, I'm sure there's some from Ashwaubenon that are in those groups, but is that going too far outside that it's not a Ashwaubenon-based group to be considered stakeholders?
Maybe reach out to them and see if they have Ashwaubenon people. Like, that's how I ended up on this, is without being on current, and they were like, is there anyone on these committees that resides in the village that could do this? Like, that way at least you try to get more through the village.
Yeah,
You know, they have
residents of the village.
They're residents of
yes.
the village, but because they're affiliated with those groups, they have.
They might be able to bring in other residents or whatever.
Because otherwise, yeah, they're not.
So rather than having an individual stakeholder meeting with each group, we could say, okay, these interest groups, if you will, if you have an Ashwaubenon resident,
Right.
we'll take, let's say, 5 of the people from the various different groups, and then, because they're gonna be more advocating for a specific need, that route, so.
What do you think about the bar owners? There's a lot of hopscotching between, maybe they don't care,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that would be collectively, I know they don't always play well together, but,
Good idea.
just a thought, because they're all going from one spot to another, are there
Yeah.
issues that they see?
Was there actually a group in the Title Town District that they would all associate or not?
No.
But I think that's a good idea,
Yeah.
because I like the idea of tell them in advance, here's what we're doing, rather than after the fact and they come back complaining. We want to give them the chance to get their 2 cents in right from the get-go. Because we don't want them to think, you're trying to hide this from us. I would prefer that we tell them up front, saying, hey, we're having this meeting, here's what we're thinking about. Just so if you have concerns, you come and you talk to us now. We don't want to be hiding it. We want to be trying to sneak something past you.
Well, I think what it does, so, and not to jump ahead for Devin's sake, but you'll see on the front end, we gather input, that's used to devise the goals of the plan. In the back end, prior to adoption, there's gonna be public input and feedback as well on the final plan. And the goal is that the information you receive on the front end for the input is gathered and encapsulated in the planning document at some point. So when you present it, when it's a completed document, like, yep, we brought that up in our meeting. I
it's in there.
remember
Yep.
that being a pressing issue for us, and it's in the plan.
Well, and also your point is good. What about the managers of all these new apartment complexes in this area? Because that's all people living there. Maybe they might have some input into it too, that for their residents to, provide some insight as well. And they might be a good group to go with bar owners, you know what I mean? Kind of tag team them, because it's all one big area.
A lot of the dense population group in
Right.
this area that then are gonna be moving throughout it.
Yeah.
What about, I don't know, Eric, maybe ask, would it make sense to go to the business association at all?
I think it's better to kind of target which businesses and which areas you want to accomplish. The business association is great. It's much more broad-based. I don't know if they're going to be as focused in certain pedestrian and bicycle improvements.
Sure. I was just thinking maybe you can almost distribute the survey at a meeting, and those who
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah,
fill
yeah,
something-
certainly.
wanted to fill something out, or we had maybe a business more in the center.
Yeah,
Fill it out, and if you're up in the industrial park or somewhere, man, don't get me wrong, not that there's not things out there as well, but they could pick and choose whether they wanted to.
Yeah, certainly more information we can get out to people as far as, hey, the surveys out there, whether it's GIS or otherwise. That's great. I don't know that a specific sit down with them would be all that fruitful.
Well, and your senior walkers too would be kind of cute, a key group too, because they're out there, every Wednesday walking,
Yeah, the key with the stakeholders too, not that we don't want the work, but think of it as maybe 3 to 5 different stakeholder groups that we're gonna meet with. Because it's gonna be very targeted, and like I said, very specific to their interest. Otherwise, we're gonna have everyone as a stakeholder, which they are, But they'll get their input in through the survey method. We're gonna focus some very special interest needs on these stakeholder groups, so that we can target specific questions to their needs.
There's been a couple of times we've been approached for just small parts of the community. One I'm thinking of is Barbara Lemenson, we're gonna discuss her. But also a few years ago, the village did a survey on a possibility of a second sidewalk on Cormier Road. And I'm not sure, I think that went to the village board and that's sort of in the background. So if we knew who it was that came forward with that, maybe we should talk to them or consider saying, hey, here, we're doing this plan, so. Because I recall there was some type of online survey and there seemed to be some support for that.
It was almost 50-50.
Yeah, I think that's why, and I don't dispute that thought process. My only, not necessarily concern, but just a thought to have with that is if you pick up, let's say, the residents on Cormier, they're in all likelihood not going to be supportive of it.
Yeah.
But if you pick up every resident, one house or one lot south of it, they're going to be like, yeah, we need sidewalk on Cormier, so we're kind of pitting.
Yeah, I bring that up mostly because I'm thinking about it now and next week I may have forgotten it.
Sure.
So can
Okay,
we
and I didn't
go
mean
back
to-
to the, so is the survey, is it something we decide to design, or is it something that's created already that you've used in the past?
Yeah, so what I would do, it's okay, we have general number of questions that we've asked for other
That's where-
plans, and that's what I would go with, if there was some, I guess, again, with not getting too into the weeds, if there's like a specific item that you all might like to tease out a little bit, we could add that or tailor that, but, otherwise I would say if there isn't a specific thing, if you're looking more broadly and generally, I can just do what we've done in the past. And, I can put that together and then pass along to staff just to do kind of a review on before we push it out, just to.
And the map actually does a really nice job
Yeah.
of being able to really localize and kind of give a geographic perspective on, this is a location where, I've seen kids almost get hit every day and we need to do something here.
Yeah.
So it helps kind of bring that in, and that allows us to focus kind of the efforts that Devin's going to do moving forward.
I know and Tom, maybe you know more about this, but the community mappings through the state, they're doing a pilot for Ashwaubenon, I understand, and looking into some things. Do you know if they're looking at bike and ped or anything in that pilot program they're doing? If that would help at all?
I don't have any information on that.
So does that typically get sent in the mail, or what kind of a return are you getting?
How do you get this?
My concern is how do you get it out to make sure you get some response?
Sure, right. So for other communities, we've done push out through, well, first of all, I'd create it and then we'd have a link that you could use.
Okay.
And then, different things you've done, it's been included in like the monthly newsletter. If there's like a listserv for the village, it could be included with that. It can be done through any like social media that the village uses.
Okay,
So
so
those
a
are-
number of different.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to do that. And again, in the past, we could have done like a mailing, depending on how much money one wants to spend,
Right.
and for, I guess, kind of the return that you get. And it varies. It's hard to say exactly what the rate is because it, again, varies by community and kind of the level of interest.
So Devin, for the special interest groups
Mhm.
or stakeholder groups, do we have time that we can think about it as a committee and maybe come back at our next month meeting with ideas of different stakeholder groups, or is that, when do you want that information to
Yeah,
be able
that's
to
what it is.
pursue that?
Timelines.
I think,
Or did you get enough that already?
Well, I think you can certainly think about it, and then we can bring that forward at the March meeting. We look at this timeline, we have March, April, May kind of timeline, so
Yeah, and I think that would be okay, because that would give you some time to think about that. And I guess too, another thing, I could put together just like a draft of the survey and have that, and then,
That'd be great.
and then if we could do just kind of a review of that, and if that
Yeah.
then looks good, then we could, push it out after that, sometime after that, if that makes sense.
It would be great if public safety took it too, or looked at it, because you guys are out there, you see what's kind of going on, so.
I think Lieutenant Ben Limbo is going to be
Oh, he's
joining the
getting-
future
okay.
committee meetings. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just,
You're just sitting there. Thank you for coming, by the way.
yeah, I do have to leave at 4, so I'll be
That's all right.
here.
I understand.
What's the date?
March 10th.
The second Monday,
March
whatever that is.
Yeah, March 10th.
March.
10.
Yeah, so if that's okay for you all, I could put something together and then have a look at it. And then also if you want to think about groups, then we could kind of more hone in on that, or at least, have a,
Is there anything else you want us to look at as a committee to think about maybe for that March meeting too, that you would think, hey, if they would get some more input on that, because then we can think about that as well.
trying to think. I mean, you could always, if nothing else, review the current plan, and if there's something specific in there that, again, is, you want to see either like retained or a specific area that needs consideration. I think something like that would be good.
Okay.
But then kind of after getting that set out and starting to get input, then that's kind of where I would take everything and then present it to you all, and then we could really start working on what needs to be updated and that sort of thing. And so I guess kind of just jumping off of that, as I mentioned, having the couple of different meetings, so not including the March meeting.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
We added one to your plate.
So then it would really be presenting kind of various drafts after that, of the different sections. And then again, that would all build towards the final plan, and then do a once review with you all once that's been done. And that would be, again, like early fall, probably. And then the goal with that would then be to have it go through the approval process following kind of that comes up.
One of the other plans that was done recently pulled in a study of this corridor
Mhm.
for bike and ped accommodation, so that might be something just to revisit
Yeah,
for you as well.
yeah, and that's, we'll tie into, and as Aaron's working on the comp plan update, incorporate what comes from that as specifically the transportation chapter. So that'll all be part of this. It's looking at the other existing plans and studies and incorporating those as well. And then really the other thing, and not so much that it matters for you all, but the goal would be, I guess, for me to get like the work part done for sure in this calendar year. But if the approval process, goes into early 26, that's not a big deal or anything as far as my time goes. So
Okay.
it's more just trying to keep the actual work in the 25 year.
So you work with some of the local municipalities already?
Yeah.
Who in particular can I ask?
So right now, Bellevue and Alloway, their plans are kind of at the approval stage, still needing to go through planning commission for those, but then.
So there's not an existing plan in today's world that you've worked on that we could just kind of take a look at to just.
I've also, so the village of Swamico, I did a couple years ago.
Okay.
The village of Hobart, think that was in 2019. And then I helped, another planner had worked on the Village of Wrightstown's plan, but I had to finish that off. So those Swamico, Hobart, and I guess to some degree Wrightstown to look at. And there should be, well, I guess I don't know if the Alloway and Bellevue plans are fully available or not, but yeah, so those are some examples.
Are there things that they did that we should maybe do different in preparing for that you remember? I mean, that's a while back. But
Yeah, no, I would say, I don't think, there hasn't really been anything that I did for those that wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's really, I guess, what I had on this schedule and really what I wanted to talk about as far as kind of the initial stuff and the overview of the next steps. So, yeah, any other questions initially?
No, I like this because you have a timeline.
Yeah.
You've got something to work towards.
Yeah, so then I guess I'll work on putting something together and then I get to you guys in advance, or I don't know, get to you Rex, coordinate on that, and then meet at the March meeting, and then go from there.
Very great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Devin?
Okay, sure. I can hang out for a bit.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Devin, when I see an extra card.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Sure.
All right, then we will move on to 6B was information discussion on the Winding Creek Estates preliminary subdivision plat parcel VA 7333-2.
Right, thanks. Sarah, can you share my screen? All right. I'll just bring up a copy of I'll bring up the actual plan unit development, which gives you an idea of the uses as well as the general lot layout. I will get into the weeds on the technical planning side of things.
Now, this is the subdivision just for locations down by Sand Acres, correct?
Relative, yep. So here is West Main Avenue on the north. You see there? Then South Ridge Road is here on the far west end of the property. This is Arts Lane. It could be a cul-de-sac that you see right here. And then Hagel's Place intersection currently is a dead end. Hagel's Place will be extended to the east to a cul-de-sac here on the end of the street. There certainly is interest in extending that street to Spirit Way, but that property owner at this point is not interested in developing. So the current developer is, respective of his wishes, and there'll be a temporary cul-de-sac at the end of that street for the foreseeable future until such time if and when that property owner to the north decides, you know what, I'm interested in selling my land and moving to Florida or Alaska or wherever we might want to go.
Could go right through their house.
The house is right here. That'd be the barn.
Yeah.
So in terms of the overall layout of the development, what you see here is the lots are a little bit smaller, similar to the Woods Edge development to the south. There's a mixture of, so these will all be single family owner occupied homes. The orange areas right here, the green on the northwest side of the street, a mixture of duplexes and townhomes. Also all owner occupied with condominium form of development, more than likely. And then to the east side here, you see some 16-unit apartment buildings. Again, create a pretty interesting mixture of uses. From a housing development standpoint, there are real advantages to having a mix of uses like this. What it does is, first of all, it kind of smooths any kind of ups or downs in the housing market that you might see depending upon interest rates. What it also does, as far as people who are living in the area, it allows them to live in their neighborhood through different parts of the life cycle. So you may, just got out of school and decide, hey, I'd love to live here. I can live in an apartment there. move up to a duplex or a townhome and hopefully purchase a home as well, all within that same neighborhood. So there are real benefits to mixing your housing types like this. There's actually, I should mention too, there's a connection to the south to Ponds Edge Court right here. I do want to note that Misty Meadows Circle is a private road. We've had a lot of interest in that from the condo development, and we're working with the developers to make sure that the construction crews all know that's a private drive and is not to be used for any kind of construction traffic or cut-through traffic. So we've had a lot of discussions with the condo association on that, talked to the developer about it. It was a pretty big discussion point at the site plan review committee and plan commission meetings we had earlier this month. A couple of the features, the blue area you see here is all really floodplain. The kind of orangish red area is areas of steep slope, which are considered environmentally sensitive areas. And the blue area right here is a stormwater pond to facilitate stormwater management for this development as well.
So can I just ask you a question? So the orange area is ESA, so nothing really can be done in that, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, steep slope, so it's hard to do anything in there. We do have access to the pond via a actual parcel line right here. You can see it's really kind of narrow, but it does extend out around here and around the pond itself. There is a bench level up there to allow for vehicles, maintenance vehicles, we clarify that, maintenance vehicles, to take care of any kind of dredging that may have to happen or vegetation clearing of the storm pond.
Could that be, if there's a road around there, could that be used for pedestrians as well, or bicyclists to go back there and ride around and take advantage of that as well?
Sure, yeah, that'll be village property.
Okay. And will there be a curb cut on that road going in, do you think? Oh, it's gonna be a road, forget it. It's gonna be a road.
So then also Sand Acres Trail that you see right here, kind of going from the southwest to the northeast along the A&R or Trans-Canada Pipeline as it is now, will be expanded through this development, and it will connect to Arts Lane. Right now we are in discussion with the developer. As you can see right now, the pipeline actually kind of cuts this corner of the property. There's an easement there that allows for the pipeline to be there, but there's no specification allows also for a recreational trail easement. So it may end up jogging around a little bit, but we'll still make that connection to Arts Lane. So in a perfect world, it goes straight through. If it can't go straight through, it'll just kind of jog around a little bit to go up to Arts Lane. Nice thing with Arts Lane is that when it gets reconstructed, we'll be probably putting some sort of pedestrian accommodation on there to provide for a connection to the eventual connection to the West Main Avenue Trail that'll extend into De Pere that we're currently doing the engineering on right now.
So on Arts Lane, do you know what kind of pedestrian connection you're doing? That's
Not
still
yet.
to be-
Yeah, there's no plans yet for this area. We haven't done any kind of engineering, depending on the right of way, what kind of space there is.
That's pretty tight.
It's
The street's really narrow.
Yeah, it is
It
narrow.
is. So if we look at reconstructing the street, it have to be built to village specs. But we don't know what that is yet. That's just kind of a future item just for kind of a particular in the back of your head. Eventually it's going to connect, just not sure when yet.
But the path will be in right away when the development comes in,
Yes.
correct? So it'll go to the end of the cul-de-sac there. So
Right.
it will be, and then you'll just go on Arts Lane, which
Correct.
is, low travel.
Yep.
And narrow lane anyway.
Yep, exactly right.
So it'll be available, okay.
Talking with the developer, well, let's back up. The final PUD, plan unit development, so the zoning is going to village board end of this month, along with the public hearing. And the subdivision plat, I'll just bring it up for reference. So the technical side of things, the subdivision plat, actual mapping, is at the preliminary plat stage. The preliminary plat goes to village board at the end of this month. In terms of subdivision, this kind of gets in the weeds a little bit, but a preliminary plat is not really preliminary. That's where the village's authority lies as long as it's consistent with state statute. Under state statute, a subdivision plat or land division such as this is basically, it must be approved if it meets our ordinance and the statutes. So there's not really any wiggle room for us to say no to it, we just don't like it. So it's a technical process, administrative for that matter. Final plat, I would anticipate coming through probably sometime, I'm going to guess spring, summer, and they're planning on probably in early 2026 start for construction in the area. So that's all I had on that. Any other
Is there sidewalks on all those roads? Oh, both
I
sides.
should
Is
mention that,
correct?
yes, I was gonna mention kudos to Bike and Ped. This is the first subdivision under our new rules where we do require sidewalks on both sides of all streets and new subdivision plans. So congratulations, it's a big step for the village and for the committee, nice work.
Do you see them doing anything with the corner, what's the road now, where the trucks from FedEx are always waiting at the corner to try to get off?
Spirit Way?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do they, I mean, because this is going to increase more traffic.
Well, so you have a signalized intersection at South Ridge Road, right here. So this connection isn't going to happen until that owner decides to sell.
Okay.
If and when that happens, we've talked with the county on that because West Main Avenue is a county highway to see what, if any, kind of traffic controls may be necessary there.
Okay.
That's a hill too. It's
It is.
a tough one,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. One of the other things I was wondering about, Aaron, with this, so this area in here goes up towards the new credit union, YMCA.
Yep.
And I know the YMCA, to have a direct connect to them up there, and I know it's kind of a extreme grade differential there. But then that whole subdivision, instead of going out to Ridge, going up to West Main and coming in that way, they might be able to, if they have any customers that are coming either to the credit union or to the YMCA, they could cut through to be able to get there.
I did talk with the developer about that.
Yep.
Their concern is that because these lots are pretty tight as it is,
Small, or in general.
to get a 20-foot easement, which is what we require to allow for access, would be really problematic for those lots. So that is all I have on that. If you have any questions, you go stop in, give me a call, email anytime as well.
So it'll be, okay.
No, you would.
No, it'll be at Village Board at the end of the month.
Yes, yep, the
For preliminary plat.
preliminary plat and the final plan unit development.
Okay.
Yep, so the zoning action and the preliminary plan.
What's their plan to start once they get through?
Probably early 2026 is
Okay.
my guess at this point, depending on how if all of a sudden interest rates drop, they may say we need to get in the ground now.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah. Any other questions, Amy? Otherwise, Aaron, thank you for updating us on
You
that.
bet.
All right, we'll move on to 6C, consider discuss on a request to install safety improvements for pedestrian crossings along Packerland Drive.
This is more of just a status update for the group. If you recall the last meeting, we essentially had a conversation with Brown County to install to plan to install a pedestrian improvement along Packerland Drive. The committee had requested that we review several intersections along Packerland Drive, including anything south of Comanche. So that'd be Carroll Lane, West Paulson, and then even review the intersection over by Skylark, right?
Mhm.
By
Valley.
In Valley,
Valley.
excuse me. And so we have reached out to Ayers and Associates to prepare a proposal. We have not received the final proposal to do so. We have met with them once to kind of talk through the scope of what we're trying to accomplish. So they have an idea of that. Ultimately, this item is not budgeted. So if they come back with a proposal, it would need to get authorization from the village board to conduct it. So I anticipate the board either pushing this to either next fiscal year as a project for 2026, or if it's a 2025 project to be completed, some other project would have to be changed, altered, or eliminated to account for that expense. I don't know what the dollar amount is going to be yet. I suspect it will be hopefully under $10,000, but it'll be a few $1,000s to conduct the study. One of the options, so Andy Rowell is a traffic engineer for Ayers. Andy I've worked with quite a bit in Outagamie County, used to work for them before going on to Ayers. Has done a number of these particular studies. There is a Federal Highway Administration circular that kind of talks about undivided highways, 4-lane undivided highways, and kind of the recommended improvement. This image that is shown on the screen was not included in your packet, but is an example that comes out of that circular. So this is kind of the type of improvement that he's going to look at. So this is a 4-lane undivided highway, very similar to Packerland Drive, where you have a marked crossing with a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. So it is an activated lighted beacon, and then there is a sign bridge, if you will, or a mounted sign pole that indicates that pedestrian crossing. So that adds that visibility. You can see advanced yielding at that intersection as well. So this is a four-way intersection. So we have oncoming traffic coming to a yield prior to that 4-way intersection. And then the traffic that's closest to the crosswalk would obviously have a distance that's identified in that Federal Highway Administration circular as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at. They're going to look at both Carroll, West Paulson, and Skylark, excuse me. They're going to look at those 3 as potential options. So they're going to be looking at crash data, preparing that, and then putting together kind of a conceptual design based on that Federal Highway Administration circular. Again, based on that price, we would have to get authorization from the board. If we get it authorized, they would put the plan together and then prepare the permits that would then get sent to the county. The county has to sign off on it regardless of whatever plan we come up with. So again, not that the county wouldn't approve it, but we could theoretically go through the work and the effort, and then the county could say, no, there's not a justified need. So that's done at the county highway department. They make that final determination. So once I have the report back from AIRS with the proposed costs, then I can bring that back through committee, and then ultimately, like I said, we'll go to the board, and then at that time they can decide how to fund that particular project.
Could you, the highway circular, is that really technical in nature, or would it be something that you'd get out to us that we could look at and
Yeah,
interpret?
Andy pulled that image and sent that to me just to give me an idea of what that would look like, but I can ask him for it.
Okay.
Maybe include it as part of the packet.
Just to look at it even beforehand, just to see if we get it. That sounds great. I did put this out to you also, guys. This is, again, part of Green Bay Safe Routes to School plan and the Viking Tide plan. They had put this together, and they just put in 66, I believe. But then maybe you can correct me on that.
I don't know the number, but I know
a
there's
lot. RFP is in Green Bay. And this is just one of the educational documents they're putting out to explain it. And just like Joel just said, a lot of the information is on here. It talks what pedestrians should do, how they should handle it, how the drivers should handle it. So a big part of putting this in is educating, and they're doing a lot of it. The Brown County Health Department actually is the one that is getting this out and trying to get it out in the county. So not only to Green Bay, but to all the other communities around to get the information out. So they have been working on it, and we can certainly take advantage of what they put together and use it in our community as well. So I just wanted to pass that on to you. It was discussed at the last traffic safety, the Brown County Traffic Safety Committee. They just talked about it there.
How many of those did they do?
Pardon?
How many?
66.
So they get grants or they do?
I can't remember. Dad, do you remember?
Is there grants?
I thought there was some grants and some
Yeah.
other funding that was used for it.
Yeah, and I think it was like the installation's like a culmination of like a years long process to
Okay.
identify and place them. And I know specifically close to where I live, there's one on Webster, just south of the hospital, like a couple blocks that was just put in.
Yeah,
I
nice.
understand that.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna be painting them yet. Some of the new ones they didn't get the paint down yet, because I noticed they had them in down where I was downtown Green Bay recently, but none of the paint was in. I'm sure they couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, wait
Yeah,
till.
wait till spring.
Do we have access to grant money for something like that? I don't know enough about grants.
I'd have to know what program they applied for, so.
I thought this was something that had to do with the school district too.
Yes, it's a combination of the two. Yeah, it's
They
part
may
of,
have had some CDBG dollars. Or
yeah, or
something
maybe
like that.
ARPA, or I don't remember, but it was funded in some manner through, and they, just put all that money to it. It might have been ARPA, but I'm not sure. with. So, but, great, thank you. I'm excited to see what AIRS comes back with.
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn, the other question for you, Devin, is this something that could be looked at in the plan as well?
You mean like,
This whole idea of a crossing on Packerland?
yeah, no, that's.
I know you're jotting that down, so.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
Joe, can I ask you, I think not the last meeting before, you said maybe you might reach out to Barb. Did somebody reach out to her to let her know what we're up to?
I think I was supposed to do that, but to be honest with you, now that you said that, I don't think I did, so.
I'm just, as long as we're working,
Yeah,
I
just keep
think
her
we
in the
should
loop.
at least, yeah, because, I mean, she went through a lot of work to get all those names.
She did.
signed up for that.
Yeah,
I just think we owe it to her. I can do it too, I don't care.
I know, yeah, I think Jerry did reach out to her, but I'm at the board meeting. But I'll do it following the conference, because the board meeting was kind of, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Kind of conversation, and this effort is, we're still trying to do something, we just don't know
Yeah.
what or when
Yeah.
or how.
We don't know that we can.
But we're
Still working on it.
Okay, any other questions on that, you guys? Otherwise, Joel hopefully gets a proposal from AIRS before our next meeting, you think, Joel? In March?
Yeah, I think so.
And then bring that to our March meeting so we can look at that and see where we're at and hopefully. So thank you for doing that. All right. 6D is staff report update on the 2025, we're in the draft, NFL draft. It's a weird thing about it. So yes, update on that, please, Joel, or whoever's taking that on.
Okay, so in your packet was a presentation that we have provided to the public on November 4th and another date in November. So if you would like, I can certainly go through this presentation. It takes about 30 minutes to go through. I've done it a number of times. If you don't feel the need, I don't have to go through it. But the key thing is, obviously the draft is coming up at the end of April. It's a 3-day affair, April 24th, 25th, and 26th. But that's not the only thing that the draft is impactful on. I'll kind of touch on that on a couple quick slides here. So just go down to the next page here. So the overall draft, as I mentioned, 3 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday is what is the highest attended date. That's the first round. That's the big picks. That's where everybody wants to see who that first round pick is going to be for their team. Friday is the second and third rounds. It's probably the lightest attended day, but I don't mean that lightly. I don't mean that that's not busy. It's just not as busy as Thursday or Saturday. Saturday is busy because it's the highest attended day for families. Now, with that being said, our experience in Detroit is that it's a family-friendly event all 3 days. It's just the fact that kids still predominantly have school on Thursday and Friday. Maybe not Ashwaubenon or Green Bay kids, but the rest of the state, all over the country, they probably go to school. So Saturday's a busy day. 4th through 7th rounds. The draft campus is, and I'll hit a couple slides in this presentation that show that, is made up of 2 areas. The NFL theater, which is the area that you really predominantly see on TV. That's the kind of the image in the background on this slide. That's from the stage looking out to the campus. That's the theater. So all the crazy fans, the VIPs, they all get tickets to be underneath the canopy of the theater, and that's what they want on TV. The biggest thing that I could say, or the takeaway that I would have, is that this is a made-for-TV production by the NFL. They make money not by hosting the draft, but by selling the ad revenue for TV. So they want to make sure that whatever is being provided on TV looks good. So you are an extra. If you attend the draft, you're an extra on the TV show. That's what you are. They want you to look crazy. They want you to be excited. That's what sells TV revenue. So the theater area is really kind of bustling towards the period of time when picks are being made, when the TV cameras are on and the excitement is in the air. Beyond that, the second part of the theater is the NFL experience. And that's the area where the fans get the full engagement or the full immersion into the NFL. So think about makeshift museums, displays, interactive activities, things of that nature is all in the experience area. And in addition to that, there'll be just a ton of player meet and greets, celebrity meet and greets, TV personality type meet and greets, other different activities within the experience that are really going to keep kind of fans engaged. The other thing I'll mention is just a quick note that the draft is free. So you don't have to buy a ticket to attend the draft. It's free of charge. The NFL requests that everybody that enters the draft register themselves through what's called the NFL One Pass app. They say it's required. That's kind of loose, but they ask that you register. By registering, that's how they kind of track you, and they make sure that their capacities and things like that are maintained. There's a high degree of security, much higher than what you typically see on a Packer game day. There will be a campus that is fully secured, and entry into that campus is going to be restricted to primarily 2 places. And I'll show that on the upcoming map here. There is a third entrance, but that is going to be for what's called kind of VIP ticketed guests. So it's kind of a premier entrance. That entrance brings them directly into the theater, into that premier VIP area. So think about these folks underneath the canopy. Those are ticketed guests. So you can buy a ticket to the draft. I don't know how you can buy a ticket, but I guess you can. And I'm sure it's expensive, but that gets you into that area.
Sounds like they're very particular who gets those tickets. So there's a nice article in the paper today on all of this.
Yes. Let me just
So Dale, you're gonna be under that
read
area,
through a
right?
couple pages.
No. No, not me.
Come on.
Sorry.
Just bear with me. Okay, so this is just a kind of makeshift map that we had presented. Again, back in November, it's going to be certainly much more refined. This is me spending 5 minutes on my computer at my workstation, so bear with me. So this is the overall campus. So the theater itself is going to be basically on South Oneida Street, and fans are going to be in the parking lot here at Lambeau Field looking to the east towards the stage. So the stage will face out to the west, fans will be facing to the east as if they're looking towards the expo. The stage will be erected right next to the expo, and the expo itself will serve as a back of house area for all of the things that you also might see on TV, like prospects sitting in the room with their families, waiting to be picked, and head hung low because they weren't the first pick of the draft, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That'll happen in the expo. And so this whole area here, this parking lot, will be the theater area. Any of this dark area, this is all we'll consider back of house. So a lot of material and supplies come into the draft itself, and these areas are going to be used to house, store, and supply and resupply those areas. The draft experience will be this area in blue. So Lambeau Field will actually be a part of the draft experience. The concourse will be open. That includes bathrooms, concessions. There will be small sections of the bowl area that are available for public viewing. Those details are still being worked through, but Lambeau will be a part of that experience itself. Titletown, a portion of that will be encompassed into the experience. So think of the football field, the Aaron's Hill, things of that nature are going to be inside that NFL experience zone. That's where all those activities are going to be had. So there's going to be concessions and bathrooms and music and other entertainment. All that stuff is happening inside the experience. I mentioned to you those 2 entry points. The 2 general admission entry points, the first one is going to be at the northwest corner of Titletown, right here at Lombardi. The second entrance is going to be here at the southwest corner of the Lambeau Field lot on Ridge Road. Those are the 2 entrance points for general admission. Those will be the only 2 entrance points for general admission. The third entrance point for VIP ticketed guests is down here in 3. Now, of course, they can enter any of the 3 entrances, but only ticketed VIPs will be able to get into entrance number 3. There are many other entrance points throughout the draft campus for specific employees, credentialed members, public safety, things like that. So it's not like if I'm over here and there's an ambulance call and I need to get over to gate 1, no, I will be able to get into other points, okay? In addition to that, even though these are the entrance points, there will be other exit points throughout the campus So if you were down by the theater area but wanted to get over to the bar district, you could theoretically get out somewhere in the theater area, walk over here to get to the bar district. Just note, if you wanted to get back, you have to walk the 1.5 miles back to gate 1. Okay, so just kind of make note of that. That's kind of the campus. To kind of talk again about the build-up phase. So the campus itself is going to take about 4 weeks to build. And that includes the stage. So the stage itself takes about 4 weeks. So South Oneida Street from Lombardi Avenue to about the southwest or southeast corner of the Lambeau Field property is going to be closed as early as March 28th. And that'll take that 4 weeks to build the stage. That'll include portions of Armed Forces Drive, just up to about the blue lot. So this map is kind of showing the full thing closed, but it's really kind of up to the edge of the practice fields there for those first 4 weeks. It'll take about 2 weeks for the stage to be striped or taken down after the draft. So in total, South Oneida Street is going to be closed for up to 6 weeks. So again, from Lombardi to the southeast corner. So when they close that, these 2 lots here at Lambeau Field will also be closed. So the Resch Center and Resch Expo have programmed events as late as April 12th. There's a big concert at the Resch Center, Papa Roach. I know some of you will probably be there.
I would like to go. No, go with me.
People will not be able to park at Lambeau Field, so they'll have to find other parking throughout the area. So just FYI on that. That first Saturday and Sunday after it closes, they're going to be bringing in about 150 semi-trailers to offload material that weekend alone. So it's going to be busy starting then. So that brings up an interesting point. From March 28th through basically May 10th, there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of people here during that full 6 week span, building, assembling, working, and preparing for the draft. And it'll be crazy that whole time. So that's that first closure. The next closure is a 2-phase closure on Lombardi Avenue. It doesn't show on this map, but it's really kind of self-military all the way to just about Holmgren Way. The eastbound lanes, so the south side of Lombardi, will be closed as early as mid-April, about April 13th. There will not be a redirect of traffic on westbound lanes. So when the eastbound lanes are closed, they're closed. There will be a map detour that will get people around it, primarily off of Mason or Ashland, depending on what direction you're coming from. The following week, 5 days later, the north side of Lombardi or eastbound lanes will be closed, that full stretch. So about April 19th. So again, east and westbound lanes from April 13th or 19th, depending on direction, through, I think, the south side of Lombardi is going to be closed for about a week after the draft, because again, that's going to be right in the campus area. So it's going to take some time to get it cleaned up. The north side of the Lombardi or the westbound lanes will open up sooner. So there's a staged closure for east and westbound lanes based on that draft. So those are going to be closed between 3 and 4 weeks, depending on east or westbound lanes. So that means you won't be able to get through at South Ridge. You won't be able to get through on Oneida Street at all, onto Lombardi. When Lombardi closes, so the eastbound traffic on Lombardi closes, that means Ridge Road will also be closed from Lombardi to a hard close to Lodge Kohler, and then there'll be soft closures basically down the Valley View. So people will be able to get to Crowell's, they'll be able to get to Lodge Kohler, but it'll be restricted. With that being said, so that's the build-up phase. There's a number of streets that will also likely be closed during the draft event days. Think of Holmgren Way from Lombardi to Mike McCarthy. Think of Mike McCarthy from Holmgren to Oneida. There's soft closures further south on Oneida. There's softer closures further south on Ridge to about Valley View. In addition to that, and I don't have a map to show this, there will be other streets that will be impacted by travel. So We are currently planning egress and outgoing traffic for the draft. So as you can tell, this is going to look much different than game day. On game day, you can drive down Lombardi and you can disperse off of any of those streets. For this, you can't because Lombardi's closed. So we have to direct traffic any different direction. So traffic coming up 41 from the south are going to be asked to get off on Ashland. Traffic coming from the north are going to be asked to get off on Mason. You could theoretically get off on Lombardi, however, it's going to be a completely different pattern of traffic. So roads like Argonne is going to likely be one way. Morris Avenue is likely going to be one way. Traffic is going to be redirected to the west and be forced down Shade, down to Cormier, or Mirror from the south. So it's going to look very different than game day. The neighborhood immediately to the south of Stadium is going to be inundated with parking and everything else. So just FYI on that. The other factors that we're taking into consideration is bus drop-offs. So there's a number of companies that are going to be shuttling people to the draft. Again, you won't see it on this particular map, but bus drop-offs are likely going to happen on Lombardi Avenue. There was some initial talk about using Cabela's. That's not going to happen just because if we drop off at Cabela's and all the traffic is routing southbound on Argonne, now you're dealing with all that. So we're going to have a dedicated bus drop on Lombardi so people can get off the bus into the path of pedestrians to the gate 1. Buses will then get routed up Military to get out of the area. There will be rideshare arrangements and locations for rideshare on both the east and west ends of the campus. I should mention there's a bus drop also on the east end of the campus as well. Quickly, every agency that surrounds the campus, so City of Green Bay, Village of Ashwaubenon, Brown County, are being directly involved in law enforcement of the campus and the surrounding periphery of the campus. Because of that, Wisconsin State Patrol is handling all traffic. So Wisconsin State Patrol will have quite a number of officers in both communities directing traffic at that time. Well, what else? It's probably all I can share with you right now, otherwise I'd have to take you out back.
Are you ready to take your cell phone back after all these things?
We're getting there. We're getting there. So real quickly, I'll just stop sharing this screen and give you one last quick tidbit here. See if I can share that. On our website, this is our homepage of our website presently. We have a link down here that says 2025 NFL Draft. So if you click that link, it brings you to this wonderful timer that tells you how many days we have left. So 73 days. There is a link here. Now this link technically doesn't work right now, but it will at the beginning of March. And this link gets you to the OnePass app that you can download. This is probably the most useful application on the draft itself because it will tell you all the activities, all the locations. It will send you automated notifications on issues that are happening in the draft. As an example, when we were in Detroit on Thursday, they met their capacity limitations in the theater. We got notification beforehand that they were going to close the theater area. Capacity has been reached. Thank you very much. We hope to see you tomorrow. Kind of thing. Yep. So it's a very, very useful tool. And the link is there. It just won't get you anywhere. You can technically download the OnePass right now, but it really doesn't have any more information than what you find on our website. And about the beginning of March, you'll start to see much more populated information. There is a link for Ashwaubenon residents here, and it kind of walks through. It'll feel a little redundant, but that's done by design. We do have a public information meeting set up for Thursday, March 6th, 6 p.m. at the Ashwaubenon Performing Arts Center. So I know you feel like you got a lot of information now, and you did, but there'll be more information to share that's more detailed and specific at that meeting. I just can't share with you today until I get some final blessings on some stuff. The presentation that I had put in your packet is also found on our website here. That's the one that we gave back in November. There's a list of known street closures here. So there's the list. I don't have the timeline there yet. Determining whether or not I want to get fired from the NFL.
Well, maybe go to NFL jail just because of this.
So I may put the timelines on there. Technically, I may have told some people about them already, so I might be going to jail soon.
You'll have to do halftime next year.
The other thing I'll mention is getting to and around the NFL draft. There's going to be maps with detour routes, travel pattern changes, all that stuff located here once it becomes available. The only thing I'll also mention is that if you own a property around the campus and you want to offer that property for parking, they are asking people to complete a survey form. There is a link right here on their page. If you click on that link, it will bring you to Discover Green Bay's, and it's probably not going to show it on that screen, but there's a survey form that you can complete. It goes to Discover Green Bay, who is part of the local organizing committee, and then Discover Green Bay provides that information to the NFL, and it shows on the OnePass app. So if you're coming from out of town, you can have your property located right on the map.
That's cool.
Other quick thing is the NFL works with Google and Apple. So when the traffic management plan gets solidified, they update Apple and Google Maps. So if you're coming from Milwaukee and today you put in, you want to get to Lambeau Field, it would bring you up 41, let's say, and get off on Lombardi. It won't do that. It will direct you off at Ashland, and then it will bring you up Ashland and then disperse you off of Ashland.
That's cool.
So be ready. It's coming, whether you like it or not.
How far away do they picture people are gonna have to be walking to get to parking and such things? I know they have all the lots and the busing people in, but just, I know that was one of the biggest
I mean,
concerns.
it's gonna be further out than Packer games for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So right now, people start walking from the west side of 41.
Mhm.
It's gonna be all of that, and then some.
Yeah, because this is much bigger.
Yeah, if you think of the entire Lambeau lots,
Yep.
all the
Oh,
grass
I see.
lots, all the paved lots, those were gonna be reserved specifically for the NFL.
Right, so
So all those cars that normally park there are
not
gonna
to
be out.
mention, this is how much more people on Packer game. Yeah, so I mean, because we've had people already approaching us at Woodside for parking lot stuff, and I'm like, the idea of walking from there to go down to it seems like a very far distance for a lot of people.
For this one.
But like for this, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's probably actually realistic, and I'm like, holy cow.
We did a lot of walking in Detroit. I bet you we
Yeah.
put on at least 5 miles, just getting there, getting around there, getting out of there,
Yeah.
getting back to the, right?
Yeah.
5 to 10 miles at least.
Oh, yeah.
What do we think about aiding the community center lot, or how would we?
So I believe Rex is working with a group. I think it's the cadets potentially.
We're waiting to see if the room is needed for any, associated activities by the NFL. Probably not. If not, in March, we'll be in contact with the cadet explorers from public safety. They can use the lot then for some of their own parking revenue. We're also looking at giving out maybe the small parking lot at Argonne Park to another community organization. So there's a couple different things that are kind of behind the scenes in the works right now.
We are likely going to close to the public Village Hall and the community center on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, we already.
Keep people not to come in.
We'll still be open, but yeah, don't try coming here.
But
Not
not
a
a
great
great
deal
day
of
to come
parking.
in.
I actually think a
So the
lot of the.
VIPs will allow parking in
Park
the
there,
front lot, but then the side lot, we're going to keep closed for
Employees.
employees or emergency action, emergency personnel. Any questions from the group?
Since we're the Bike and Ped Committee, has the NFL made any arrangements for like a bike parking lot?
I did talk with Brian Rickard about that. He's gonna talk with them about that last week at the transportation meeting. About having some, they may not be awesome racks, but there'll be bike parking areas for people who are biking.
Are they temporarily allowing like Bird and a bunch of those scooter type things to come in. Cause I heard there was a whole thing with that. I was like,
No,
I gotta ask
Bird
them.
works with the city of Green Bay right
Yeah.
now to allow for it. Ashwaubenon hasn't done that. In talking with the Packers and the NFL, they would prefer not to see those because there's some issues with the zone requirements. They want to make sure that they keep a buffer
Yeah.
to those entrance areas. So
yeah, so they'll keep them locked out still.
So you've got 250,000 people, and the people, this is their first time on a scooter, what could go wrong?
It's Nashville all over again.
Saw that.
You know, for the bike parking, maybe they could set up what they call bike corral, and they could get some volunteer organization to staff that, and then, you know, our said have a ton of bike racks, but they can bring their bikes in, it's a, you know, it's a gated
Yeah.
area, it's got fence around it, and then it's a safe place for them to leave their bikes. I mean, I've seen that at different big events and
Yeah.
stuff, that might
I'm
work.
not sure what the plans are at this point, just know that hasn't been brought up
Okay,
as an
good,
issue.
yeah, that's a good comment.
Yeah, thinking like somebody like My Team Triumph or something, if they could find people, that'd be a great fundraiser for them.
Yeah, or the Bayshore Bike
something.
Club, they do that kind
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff a lot, or, you know.
So the key thing with bicycles in relation to the draft campus is those roads that were described as closed, those are closed roads. So bicycles, unlike on a Packer game day, where you had roads closed to vehicles, this won't be like that. These roads will be closed. So I hate to say closed.
Yeah.
They'll be closed to all access. So pedicabs, those share ride bicycles, there will be a secure checkpoint. And in order to get beyond that checkpoint, you have to be an authorized credentialed individual to get beyond it. And those pedicabs won't be allowed because there'll be so much foot traffic between those. They won't allow, plus you have to have a dog sniff around your body to make sure you're not carrying bombs and things like that. So
You get it, it's a huge amount.
Yeah.
And how many people are they thinking of vehicles going?
I've been hearing 250, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Now, again, Detroit said 700,000, but every time you went in and out, you were counted.
Okay.
So we went in and out probably 3 times. Just on Thursday alone, if you're counting between all of us, 30 times, I guess.
Okay.
I would anticipate it to be comparable, each day to be comparable, like a game day type setup. So think 80 to 100,000 fans, but each day, 3 days straight.
Yep.
And there's going to be a lot of coming and going because the overall draft itself. So as an example, Thursday, the gates will open around noon. The draft itself, where they actually pick players, won't happen until 6 or 7 o'clock at night, depending on time zone. And then the last pick could be made at 11 p.m. on Thursday night. So the last pick is based on the sequence of the draft. So as teams trade picks or how long they take to pick picks and all that stuff, it could be 11 o'clock at night before the actual picks are done.
Between 10:30 and 11.
We actually might change our staffing hours even around because people want to come in because of our shift changes.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, it probably will be a little bit quiet at the onset. So like noon on Thursday, maybe not so busy, but by 2, 3 o'clock, then it's going to get crazy. By 5 o'clock, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
And then it'll be crazy until 11, 12 o'clock at night. Friday, the gates open at noon. So again, probably a little quieter during the afternoon, but then it gets busier throughout the afternoon. Saturday, the gates open at 9 a.m. So it'll be busy, but Saturday ends at 6. So
Just with the
it'll be a little bit shorter that way.
last pick, depending on if you stay the whole time or not, which a lot of people do. Last pick is at 11, and it'll take them at least a couple hours to get out of the area. Because they're not going to be, a lot of people won't be familiar with it. And even if they are, it'll be a change of what the norm is. So there'll be cars still probably trying to get out, 1:32 in the morning, I'm guessing.
So there'll be, just from a safety standpoint, the key for ingress is to make sure that the highways don't back up. So if local streets back up, we're not concerned about that. We don't want the interstates to back up because that's when accidents happen. When you have backed up traffic off the ramps, cars going 70 miles an hour better. When egress, so cars leaving, the DOT and the state patrol isn't so concerned about slow moving traffic. In fact, they would prefer that because then the accidents that do occur are less severe. So there's some of that. So some of it's like, well, We're not so concerned about backup traffic in this type of scenario because it's inevitably going to happen and it's going to reduce the severity of certain types of crashes. Or we put so much effort in ensuring that there isn't a backup in certain situations to avoid those high-risk scenarios.
It's just not gonna have to get to any of those places.
So you might be sitting on Shady, for example, for a long time, but you got off the highway.
Right, yeah. Interesting.
Good, there'd be more business by Brat stand then.
I hope you have a permit for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be serving people like me and that's what they get, so.
It's a donation.
What's the donation?
It's a donation. You don't have to worry about it. It's a donation, you don't worry about
Sounds good to me.
Board has so much time to enforce all of those.
I know, yeah. Yeah. All right, any other questions for Joel on the draft? Thank you for updating us and just, you go, plan ahead, I guess.
Come to the meeting on the 6th. That'll be the big one. Still trying to figure out if we can host it online. There may be an opportunity, but I'm working with PAC to figure out if that's possible. So I might live stream it.
Yeah.
All right, no other questions. We'll go on to 6E, which is staff update on ordinance 010325, amending chapter 7, article 7, bicycles, motorbikes, and similar vehicles of the Ashwaubenon Municipal Code. I just asked Joel to put this on just to let you know, we had talked about our ordinances at our last meeting, sent it on to the village board without a recommendation because we had a tie vote. The village board did look at it. The ordinance will go in place with everything except they will add the sidewalk bicycling, it will be allowed. So that's the one change. So that is allowed in the ordinance, and then all the other things that we had put in with description of electric bike, electric scooter, and all that stuff is in there. So I just wanted to update the committee on that, and I don't know if anyone has any questions, just because it did come from here, just to, I guess, get the circle back. Yeah, so you knew where everything ended up.
You smiling?
Because I'm the only one here. That's why the other ones didn't come today. I'm the only one I'm not
Well, there was an option. Sue, you're like this, there was an option to refer it back to committee, and then Sue would have to make the deciding vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. It's good to have the discussion.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
We got you.
We got you, Sue. Any comments? Nope. All right. Then any items for next agenda? We have the Devin's coming back. So Devin's coming back to talk about the plan. I think there are two other things on that, correct? The award from, or the bid from EARS, so the proposal from EARS, and there's one of them. Right, it's very good, so I didn't write my notes, and I usually do.
Just to follow up on the plan update, the survey information, and then the Packerland Drive study.
Okay, if there's anything else you guys have, let, I guess Kelly, or whoever know on that. Then I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Kyle.
I'll second.
Second by Jessica. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Last.